While social media lit up with debate and drama around her every move, Caitlin Clark stayed silent. No clapbacks, no passive-aggressive stories, just wins, deals, and another spotlight that never seemed to dim. Her refusal to engage publicly with Io Wilson's passive criticisms wasn't just maturity, it was branding genius. Sponsors saw it as stability. Fans saw it as focus. What Wilson interpreted as aloofness, the industry interpreted as discipline. Clark let the market speak louder than any tweet could, and the market answered with millions. This is the evolution of athlete marketing. The ones who talk the least are often the ones planning the most. Clark's calculated silence amid controversy isn't just admirable, it's effective. It shields her brand from chaos and keeps her name in headlines for the right reasons.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
In a league where noise often overshadows performance, Clark's model is starting to feel like the blueprint. Stay quiet, stay sharp, and stay ahead. Caitlin Clark has just shaken the sports world again. Not with a buzzer beater or a record-breaking stat line, but with legal action. A move that sent shockwaves through fans and media alike. The same Caitlin Clark who's been praised for her focus, her silence, her squeaky clean image, she's now making headlines for stepping into the legal arena after an incident involving a reporter crossed the line. And let's be clear, this isn't about drama for drama's sake. This is part of a much bigger strategy. Clark is more than just a rising athlete. She's a calculated force in a new era of sports where branding, influence, and public image matter just as much, if not more, than what happens on the scoreboard. This lawsuit didn't just mark a personal boundary. It reinforced a brand. It showed that Clark isn't just playing defense on the court. She's protecting her legacy off it. Her latest endorsement deal with the LPGA, that was the first clue that Clark's career isn't going to follow a traditional arc. She's not just dominating basketball. She's expanding into golf, making her one of the most sought-after marketing figures in women's sports. It's not just a sponsorship. It's a blueprint for what modern athletic influence looks like. Cross-sport, cross-platform, cross-generational. And it's working. Brands see the value in someone who can move across industries without losing control of the narrative. The LPGA partnership is reportedly a multi-million-dollar deal that doesn't just boost Clark's profile, it elevates both leagues. It opens the door to collaborative exhibitions and charity events, while promoting gender equity and audience crossover. Clark has quietly become the ultimate case study in influence without controversy, until now. Because not everyone is thrilled. Inside the WNBA, her meteoric rise is stirring up real tension. Players like Io Wilson, who've put in years of elite performance and helped carry the league through tougher times, are watching a rookie leapfrog into the spotlight. And they're talking about it. Pointed comments, subtle shade, and a clear undertone of frustration. But here's the thing. Clark didn't create this imbalance. She's just navigating it better than anyone else. She's mastered a playbook that prioritizes image, reach, and silence over drama. She's the athlete brands dream about, talented, unproblematic, and aware of how to leverage every moment. Wilson's reaction? That's not Clark's responsibility. That's a byproduct of a system that has shifted its value structure, where visibility outweighs tenure, where engagement metrics matter more than stat sheets. It's a hard truth, but Clark didn't write the rules. She's just winning the game. What makes Clark's approach even more effective is what she doesn't do. She doesn't respond to the tension. She doesn't engage in back and forths. She doesn't tweet, clap back, or fan the flames. Her silence is strategic. It makes her an ideal figure for sponsors who want reliability, not volatility. And in an era where athletes can lose entire deals over a single misstep, that control is power. Her silence is her statement, and it's louder than any quote. The internet, of course, is amplifying the Clark versus Wilson narrative. Every interview is parsed for subtext. Every post analyzed for drama. Social media is fueling the rivalry, creating a battleground where fans choose sides, not based on stats, but on vibes and visibility. And through it all, Clark stays silent. The irony? That silence is what's keeping her marketability untouchable. While others vent their frustrations publicly, she stays in motion, closing deals, expanding influence, and building a brand that transcends the court. That's not luck. That's strategy. Even a lawsuit fits the pattern. It's not a messy feud. It's a clean, calculated assertion of control. A way to draw a line without saying a word. It reinforces her image as someone who handles things behind the scenes, quietly but firmly. She's not just protecting herself. She's reinforcing the message that she plays by her own rules. The WNBA now finds itself in a tight spot. Clark's presence is undeniably good for business. Her name brings in viewers, ticket sales, and national attention the league hasn't seen in years. But her star power also creates a lopsided spotlight. When the focus is this heavy on one player, others inevitably feel sidelined. That's the current tension. Because while Clark's rise is accelerating the league's relevance, it's also exposing deep cracks. Players who've been building the WNBA's foundation for years are watching someone else become the face of it. And for some, that stings. But the reality is this: Clark plays a different game. She's not chasing validation from peers or critics. She's building long-term value, strategic silence, carefully chosen partnerships, and now legal boundaries. Every move is about protection of image, brand, and future influence. And that's what makes her different from the athletes who came before her. She's not just reacting to the spotlight, she's directing it. The LPGA deal is a perfect example of how she's operating on another level. That kind of partnership signals not just personal success, but structural evolution in how athletes are marketed. Cross-sport deals weren't the norm for women athletes. Clark made it look easy, and the LPGA saw the opportunity instantly. Now, the two leagues are planning collaborative events, merging fan bases, and creating something that could redefine women's sports marketing. That's the scale of Clark's impact. She's not just collecting checks. She's building something expansive, something sustainable. And the best part? She's doing it without selling out her image. No scandals, no wild headlines, just quiet power moves, one after another. Meanwhile, the league itself is under pressure to adapt. They can't afford to alienate the veterans who've built their reputations over years of championship-level play. But they also can't ignore the fact that Clark is the most bankable athlete in the league right now. Balancing that tension? It's now the WNBA's most urgent challenge. Because if the gap widens between new stars and seasoned players, between those with media momentum and those without, the league risks internal division. And that tension won't just stay behind the scenes. Fans are already noticing. And the longer it simmers, the more it threatens league cohesion. This is what happens when a star outgrows the system before the system is ready. Clark's career isn't just a breakout story. It's a disruption, a recalibration of what it means to be a modern athlete. She's not just a shooter. She's a strategist. She's turned backlash into buzz, silence into sponsorships, and controversy into capital. Veteran players may not like the shift, but it's happening. And unless the league finds a way to channel her rise in a league-wide growth, it could end up deepening the divide. Clark isn't waiting for the system to catch up. She's already steps ahead. While the rest of the league is navigating media missteps and endorsement gaps, Clark is out here partnering with entire other sports, staying unbothered, and now, making legal waves when her image is crossed. That's the modern playbook. Keep your game tight, your words few, and your brand untouchable. The truth is, she's not just setting a new standard. She's the standard now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Caitlyn's dominance is reshaping the league for the better, or is it setting up long-term tension? Hit like if you've been following her rise. Share if you've seen the dynamics shift firsthand. And subscribe to stay locked in, because this story is far from finished. At this point, Caitlin Clark isn't just a breakout rookie. She's a litmus test for everything changing in women's sports. She's the one everyone's watching, whether they're rooting for her or not. And every move she makes now carries ripple effects far beyond her own career. That legal action she filed after the incident with a reporter, that wasn't just a personal response. That was a loud message to the entire sports media ecosystem. You don't get to exploit me. You don't get to cross the line just because I'm public property now. And that message, it's getting through. Because most athletes, especially young women in the spotlight, don't take that step. They endure. They take the high road. Clark? She went straight to her legal team. No social media rant. No PR-heavy apology tour. Just a clean, deliberate move to say, I don't owe access to anyone who disrespects boundaries. It's power. Quiet power. And it's catching people off guard. This is what makes her so interesting to watch. On one hand, she's completely market-friendly, safe, polished, media-trained, brand-aligned. On the other, she's starting to show that she has teeth when it matters. And that combination? It's rare. It's also why she's dominating not just sports, but the business of sports. Meanwhile, the rest of the league is scrambling to keep up. Let's not sugarcoat it. Caitlin Clark's rise has exposed a hard truth. Visibility isn't distributed equally. Aya Wilson is a proven winner. Decorated. Decorated again. And yet, when people outside hardcore WNBA circles talk about the league, Clark's the name they know. That imbalance? It's sparking friction. Not because Clark did anything wrong, but because the system is finally rewarding something other than tenure. It's rewarding narrative. And Clark's narrative? It's pristine. A college phenom turned pro. Massive media buzz. A fan base that borders on cult status. Partnerships with top-tier sponsors. And now, she's expanding into golf. That LPGA deal wasn't just a flex. It was a chess move. It told the world, I'm not just here to play. I'm here to own my name across industries. It signaled to every other athlete and every executive that she's not interested in being boxed in a one court, one league, or one demographic. She's not even just an athlete at this point. She's an ecosystem. The LPGA, a league that historically flies under the mainstream radar, just scored one of the most visible names in sports. And it's not because she's swinging clubs on tour. It's because she brings eyeballs, audience, cultural currency. Her presence elevates everything around her. And that's exactly what modern sports marketing is built on. We're seeing the evolution of the super athlete. Not just someone who wins, but someone who commands attention across platforms. Someone who leverages silence better than a scandal. Someone who understands that how you move off the court matters just as much, sometimes more, than how you move on it. This isn't to say Clark doesn't perform. She absolutely does. But what separates her is that she understands a moment. She understands media fluency. She knows how to stay present without being overexposed. She lets others stir the pot, and somehow ends up trending anyway. That's calculated branding. It's not passivity. It's not luck. It's mastery. And again, that's where the tension hits hardest. Because veterans are watching this and thinking, how did we get here? How did it become about who's trending instead of who's winning? They're not wrong to feel overlooked. But the shift has already happened. Visibility and performance are no longer one and the same. And Clark, she's the proof. She's also forcing the league to adapt in real time. The WNBA has needed a superstar that brings in casual viewers for years. They needed someone who could get people to tune in not just for the game, but for the name. Clark is that. She's breaking through markets the league has never fully tapped. And the leadership knows it. But the risk is obvious. When everything revolves around one player, resentment festers. Locker rooms get tense. Team chemistry suffers. It's not just about media, it's about morale. You can't have a league built on unity when every camera is pointed at one person. And yet, can you really blame the league for leaning into it? The buzz Clark brings isn't just social, it's financial. Merch is up. Attendance is up. Viewership is surging. The numbers are undeniable. She's lifting the league, whether people like it or not. But she's not doing it alone. And that's the nuance that keeps getting lost. The media obsession with Clark has made it seem like she's carrying the WNBA on her back. She's not. But the way she's being marketed makes it feel that way. That's where league leadership has to act. Fast. Because if they don't find a way to celebrate veterans while riding Clark's momentum, they'll end up deepening the divide. This isn't just about one player. It's about future-proofing the league. About proving that they can highlight multiple stars at once. without putting them in competition for attention. Because right now, that's exactly what's happening. The media's built a narrative. Clark versus Wilson. Newcomer versus veteran. Spotlight versus shadow. And whether it's accurate or not, it's the narrative that's sticking. And in the middle of it all, Clark's just working. Not responding. Not clapping back. Not even hinting at conflict. She's focused on winning, expanding, protecting her name, and building something bigger than basketball. The lawsuit just reinforced all of that. It's a stark reminder that she knows exactly what's at stake. Her reputation, her image, her long game. And when that's threatened, she doesn't go public. She goes legal. That's a different level of strategy. It's not about drama. It's about control. And that control, it's what's making her untouchable. But it also makes her unpredictable. Because now, every brand, every media outlet, every reporter knows. If you cross her, there are consequences. She's not just here to be admired. She's here to be respected. And she'll demand it however she needs to. That sends a message to everyone else in the industry. The rules are different now. You can't treat athletes like commodities without pushback. You can't weaponize their fame without limits. Clark has changed that. Silently. Legally. Effectively. So where does this leave the league? Honestly, on a tightrope. They've got a once-in-a-generation star who's breaking barriers left and right. But they've also got a roster of seasoned players who've earned their spot and aren't interested in playing second fiddle in their own league. There's no easy fix, but the path forward is clear: balance. Strategic, deliberate, and respectful balance. Not just for Clark, but for the league's credibility. Because Clark's story isn't just about one athlete breaking out. It's about what happens when a system finally starts to reward marketability, but forgets to distribute the spotlight with care. So yes, Caitlin Clark is winning. In every way that matters. She's not just thriving in this new era of sports media. She is the era. The endorsements, the lawsuits, the brand, the silence. It's all part of a bigger picture. And she's painting it on her terms. The more this unfolds, the clearer it becomes. Caitlin Clark is no longer just part of the WNBA. She's its center of gravity. Every story, every camera angle, every marketing rollout is orbiting around her. And whether that's good, bad, or somewhere in between, it's undeniable. What's wild is how little she's actually had to say to make this all happen. Most athletes build their brands by being vocal, through interviews, endorsements, activism, or online personas. Clark has done the opposite. She stayed mostly quiet, strategically reserved. No public feuds, no dramatic press conferences. Just laser focus on her game, her deals, and now, her boundaries. And that restraint? It's power. Because while the rest of the league is still catching up to the new reality, where attention is its own currency, Clark is already cashing in. She understood the game off the court from the start. She doesn't need to be loud because her silence says everything. I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. I don't need to perform for anyone. Even her decision to stay out of the Io Wilson discourse is part of that strategy. Clark hasn't addressed the tension, not once. Not in a press scrum, not through a quote, not in a social post. And honestly, that silence has probably protected her image more than any PR team ever could. Because if she had responded, the internet would have eaten it alive. No matter what she said, it would have been framed as arrogant, dismissive, fake, too polished, or not polished enough. By staying silent, she remains above the fray, untouched by the drama, untouched by the headlines she's not even trying to create. And that's the key difference between Clark and every athlete who came before her. She's not just playing the game, she's controlling the narrative, without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, the league is at a crossroads. Clark's rise is bringing new fans, new sponsors, and real money into the WNBA. But it's also highlighting everything that hasn't been working. The lack of equal promotion, the uneven media coverage, the clear frustrations among established stars who've been carrying this league for years without getting even a fraction of the attention. The truth is, it was never just about Clark. She's a lightning rod, sure, but the storm was already coming. The league is being forced to confront the reality that visibility doesn't always align with value. That media and money are flowing to the most marketable player, not necessarily the most decorated one. That's the uncomfortable part, because no one's saying Clark isn't deserving. Her skills, her professionalism, her draw are all undeniable. But what the league does with her momentum will determine everything. Will they use her popularity to raise the whole ship? Or will they keep doubling down on a single storyline while the rest of the roster fades into the background? Because if they're not careful, Clark's rise could turn into a fracture point. Not because she asked for it, but because they didn't manage it. And here's where it gets even trickier: the fans. Clark's fan base is massive, loud, and loyal. They defend her at every turn. But they also fuel the polarization. The constant comparisons, the "she's saving the league" rhetoric, the dismissiveness toward veteran players, it's creating a culture war inside the fandom. And Caitlin Clark? Still silent, still focused, still working, still building something most players spend decades trying to create. That's what makes this moment feel so surreal. We're watching a rookie not just redefine success, but rewrite what it means to own your career from day one. She's partnering across sports, filing lawsuits when boundaries are crossed, making herself a must-watch figure without ever being messy. And that kind of control, it's intimidating, even to other players, especially to players who were never allowed to be that calculated, who had to claw their way into the spotlight, who didn't have the benefit of this media environment or this kind of backing. But that's the point. Clark didn't break the system. She just arrived at the exact moment when it finally worked. She's the proof that when the machine does operate, when it does focus on women's sports, it can create a global brand overnight. And now that it's happening, the system doesn't know how to handle the consequences. Because with every endorsement, every crossover event, every headline, the imbalance becomes harder to ignore. The league's challenge now: catch up, fast. Use this momentum to lift more players. Tell more stories. Spread the spotlight. Because the Caitlin Clark effect is real, but it doesn't have to be isolating. It can be expansive, if they choose to make it that way. And Clark? She's going to keep moving, with or without league unity, with or without approval from the old guard. She's already building her legacy, one clean play, one quiet decision, one strategic move at a time. Comment below if you think the league is doing enough to support its veterans. Like this if you've noticed a shift in media coverage. Share if you think this moment could change women's sports forever. And hit that subscribe button, because Caitlin Clark isn't slowing down, and neither are we.